My name is Janelle James, and on behalf of the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Educational of Massachusetts, I would like to welcome you to our education program for 2022. The first installment is a three-part webinar that is called Mental Health in a Caribbean Context. Part 1 that was recorded on March 16th focused on stigmas. We will continue the conversation on Wednesday, March 30th at 6 p.m. and the final on Wednesday, April 13th at 6 p.m. Please sign up through the link in the description. This is a program that is completely free to the public. Wherever you can access the internet, you will be able to join us for this webinar. It is such good conversation for the soul. I think something that is long overdue, especially for us of Caribbean heritage. Just a little bit of the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Association. We are a nonprofit that's based in Boston that serves the entire Massachusetts community. We also have great liaison back in St. Vincent, and we have lots of programming where we try to focus on our scholarship efforts and also donation for any persons in need. Thanks to our generous support from our members and supporters and donors, we're able to provide this program for free to the public. We hope that you will consider donating to our organization. A link will be provided also in the description to do so. We certainly hope that you will join the conversation. If not, we will continue to provide these recordings here on YouTube and all of our social media platforms. You may reach us if you have any questions by email at svgofmass@aol.com, or you may direct message us on our social media platform on Facebook at SVG of Mass, also on Instagram, SVG of Mass. Thank you again for joining us and enjoy. Right. Hopefully everybody's signing in and we have all those people. We realize it's around dinner time. So we really appreciate you joining us. This is a very important conversation that we will be having tonight. And thank you, Yasmin, for putting together this wonderful program for us. For those of you who do not know Yasmin, I'd like to just give you a brief biography. So Yasmin Bailey received her undergraduate in psychology from UMass Boston and her master's in industrial organizational psychology from Adler University, the Vancouver campus. She is committed to authentically growing, learning, and leading. Through this commitment, she has been able to cultivate a framework that guides her facilitation. Yasmin is committed to destigmatizing mental health across communities. Yasmin is an authentic leadership coach, utilizing holistic and intersectional practices. So without further ado, let's give it up for Yasmin.
Yay!
Yay! And for those, I'm sorry, I didn't actually introduce myself. So my name is Janelle James. I am the president of the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Educational of Massachusetts. This is our very first educational webinar for 2022. And we're so happy to have my baby sister, an amazing woman, headlining this inaugural workshop. So thank you guys for joining us.
Yes. Thank you, Janelle, for that beautiful introduction. So hey, y'all, I got the presentation up. Look at us. We're killing it already. So I'm so glad to be here. Like Janelle said, my name is Yasmin Bailey. I am a industrial organizational psychology practitioner. Essentially what that means is I get to look at a lot of human behavior, a lot of workplace cultures, and a lot of things related to business, to be honest. And I get to take a beautiful psychological lens at it. And what I've gotten to do over the course of my master's program is to really look at how a lot of social injustices and other like social problems that exist in the world, how are we approaching them, and how can we take a better approach to them. So throughout this presentation, I will be going through, oh, come on now. We got it up and running, but it don't want to click. Here we go. So throughout this presentation, which is mental health in a Caribbean context, we're going to be looking at mental health through a liberation health approach. And what that really just means is that we're going to look at a specific problem, which is stigmas, because that's what today is all about. And we're going to be able to look at it through personal factors, cultural factors, and institutional factors. Don't get too worried. It's okay. We're here to learn together and grow together. So if you have any questions, drop them in the chat. Janelle will be managing in the chat for me, as I won't be able to see it in this Zoom format I'm presenting. But yeah, you got the agenda sent to you. So we're going to go through the agenda and we're going to talk a bit more about what mental health in Caribbean context means. So, quick agenda, we are talking introductions is what we're going to go through first. Everyone's going to go around the Zoom room and introduce themselves. We're going to go over community guidelines again, and we're going to do some vocabulary grounding so we're all on the same page. And we're going to have an activity, yes. So get ready to unmute your mics or respond in the chat, whichever way you feel the best way to be engaged. And then we're going to get right into it and really tackle this topic of mental health in a Caribbean context, looking at stigmas through a liberation health approach. Cool. Y'all still staying with me? Give me like an emoji, thumbs up. Okay. Love it. Amazing. Let's get started. Oh, you want to change, Mr. Presentation? That's okay. I respect you. Here we go. Just takes a little grace. So let's start with some introductions, y'all. I'm going to start it off. Like I said, I'm here to serve as a conductor or a guide, if you will, through our conversation about stigmas. So thank you, actually, everyone, for filling out the registration form. If you filled out those questions, give yourself a pat on the back. Go ahead and do it. I mean it. Thank you. Yeah. So thanks for filling those out, because your responses were actually very key in framing how I would map out our conversation today. The webinar in itself is a space for us to share our ideas, to share concepts, as well as our thoughts. We're going to share them with one another. And my hope is that from this conversation today, we will think about how mental health, particularly stigmas about mental health, impact us on this personal, cultural, and institutional level. That's all I want to do with y'all today. So let's start with some introductions. My name is Yasmin Bailey. I use she, they pronouns. And if you want to take a look at this emotions wheel here to help identify how you're feeling today, I'm feeling very inspired and very hopeful, a little nervous, I'm not going to lie. But all from a place of like creation and inspiration, because I'm really excited to just dive in and talk about stuff with you all. And we're going to do popcorn style introduction. So I'm going to call the next person to introduce themselves. And after that next person goes, they're going to call on the next person to introduce themselves. Thumbs up if we understand. Amazing. Cool. Here we go. So once again, my name is Yasmin Bailey. I use she, they pronouns. I'm feeling very inspired today. And I'm going to pass it off to Janelle.
It would help if I unmute myself. Hello, everyone. My name is Janelle James, and I use she, her pronouns. And today I am feeling proud. I'm going to pass it over to Marquette.
I was hoping you wouldn't say me next. I'm Marquette. I use pronouns she and her, I think. And then today I feel, I would say content. Not too happy, not too sad. I'm like so.
There you go. And who would you like to pass it off to?
Oh my God. Let's do Mr. Alex.
Hi, everyone. I'm Alex. I use they, them pronouns, and I'm feeling tired today, but I'm really excited to be here. So I'll pass it to Ingrid.
Okay, so you shouldn't pass it to me because I'm pretty sure I don't even understand what we're supposed to be doing.
It's okay, no problem. We're just introducing, we're saying our names, our pronouns, and how you feel.
Okay, so my name is Ingrid, and the pronoun, let's go to how I feel. I'm tired, but I'm in a good place.
Okay, we love a good place. Thank you for sharing, Ingrid. And who would you like to pass it on to?
I can pass it on to Juliana.
Oh, you're still muted. So sorry.
It's okay. Hi, I gotta do both of them. Hi, I'm Juliana. And Juliana Cumberbatch was the vice president of the organization. And I would say my how I'm feeling today is a little anxious. You know, it's running after the work hours and got a couple of things to get done, but still feeling good just the same. And then my pronoun is her, she. Yeah. So thank you for having me.
No problem. Thanks for sharing. And who would you like to pass it off to? One more.
I cannot see anybody else in the room, so I will pass it on to Irving. Yeah.
Yeah, you said that right. Hi, my name is Irvin Bailey. Pronouns are he, him, and I am just excited and ready to learn.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Irvin. And who are you passing it on to?
I think I'm going to pass it on to Augustina.
Did you say Augustina? I just assumed you said Augustina.
I did. Sorry.
That's cool.
Hi, everybody. My name is Augustina. I go by she, hers, and her. I feel proud and joyful and grateful to be a part of this conversation and this webinar. Just a disclaimer, you will see me walking around because I'm currently making dinner, but I'll be listening. But I'm really excited to be a part of this, and I'll pick Green to my left to introduce herself.
Hi everybody, I'm Son, and my pronouns are she and her, and I'm super proud and excited and full of anticipation about everything having to do with this workshop today.
Thank you. Who's left to go? Natalie, if you wanted to introduce yourself. Oh, Charlie just popped up. Natalie, you there? It's okay if you're not. That's okay. I'm gonna throw it. Chani, I see you've also just entered. We were doing a quick round of introductions. If you wanted to introduce yourself with your pronouns and how you're feeling today, you could totally go ahead and do that right now.
Hello.
Hi, Chani.
Hello, I'm Chani, she, her, hers. And today was a crazy day, but I'm okay now.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you so much for sharing. So everyone around the room has gone.
We actually have Josella who hasn't gone.
I am so sorry. Go ahead, Miss Josella James.
It's okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Josella. I am Yasmin aunt, and I am grateful and excited, and I'm very proud of you, Yazi. Keep up the good work. And the pronoun is she.
Yeah. Okay, thank you so much, everybody, then, for going around the room. I really appreciate y'all introducing yourselves and identifying your emotions. So now, before we get started on things, I think we should take a collective deep breath because we're all feeling things. So everyone just inhale through your nose and exhale through your mouth. Awesome. Now let's go on to the next slide. Look at that, it changed on its own. Cool. So now we're going to talk about community guidelines. And community guidelines are just things that help us keep us safe in this environment, if those who didn't hear me mention it before. So we're really looking at like respect the opinions of others. You know, if you want to say something, feel free to use the raise hand function. Those are things that I'll be able to see. If you wanted to, also one mic, that's like the one person speaks at a time. So try not to speak over people. Great thing about Zoom is that we can totally use the chat function to communicate with one another. So feel free to use that. Don't use it to communicate to me though, because I will not see it. I need to make that very clear. And if there is something you need to tell me, yes, use the raise hand function. Also, are you raising your hand, Janelle?
Yes, you could send the chat to me.
Yes.
If you need to interject something you want to bring up.
What Janelle said. And my favorite community guideline, especially in a context such as this, is if you have nothing nice to say, someone finish that. What is it?
Don't say anything at all.
Period.
Yeah.
Don't say anything.
Exactly. If you have nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all. This ain't the space for it. Save the drama for your llama. Let's continue on. If anybody has any additional community guidelines that you feel will be helpful for us during this conversation, also feel free to put it in the chat. Cool. Thumbs up for the folks who have their cameras on if we understand. Amazing. I love it. Thanks, everyone. Thank you for those who have your camera off. I love the engagement. Here we go on to the next slide. It's doing it. It did it. Yeah, I know. Boom. So let's do some vocabulary grounding while we're here. So 3 basic things that we're going to talk about a lot today are mental health, stigmas, and liberation health model, because those are really the foundations of the things that we're discussing today. Can anyone kind of give me what is their understanding of mental health? Feel free to unmute yourself and share. No pressure. There's no right answer for now.
I would say like self-care, maybe.
Yes, mental health, some self-care things. Yes. Yes, taking care of yourself. What else am I hearing from folks? Feel free to say the first thing that comes to your mind. There's literally no holds barred.
I would say
The way how you're feeling.
The way you're feeling. Go ahead, Augustina.
I would say mental health is being able to be productive under stressful situation, but also having like coping mechanisms to deal with those situations.
Sure. The way you handle yourself under stressful situations. Okay, Janelle, go ahead.
Being mindful of your thoughts and how you're using them to travel through your day.
Amazing. We're hearing mindfulness of our thoughts, being able to be productive in stressful times, taking care of ourselves. I love it. Someone give me their definition of stigma. What do y'all think stigma is? Also, first thing that comes to your brain, perfectly okay if it's not thought out.
I would say stigma is basically a thought that's perpetuated, ideas that are perpetuated based on people's knowledge or lack of knowledge about any particular subject. And those things kind of stick within the culture, as become like norms and things like that.
Yes, Juliana, come on and run this workshop. Yes.
And oftentimes, just to piggyback on that, it's negative.
Yes, often negative. Yes, these perpetuated ideas that are centered in someone else's thought or belief that are often negative. I love that. Anybody else? Give you a 5-second countdown. 3, 2, 1. Oh, this is 2, 1. All right, cool. Thank you, everybody, for sharing. And someone tell me, what do they think liberation health model is? What do y'all think it is? It's also okay if I don't know as an answer. Oh, go ahead, Marquette.
I don't have like a particular answer, but like when I read it, I'm assuming like like freeing yourself in a way that is healthy, maybe. Obviously, play off words, but you know what I'm trying to say.
See how the mind is working? Yes, liberation, health, a little liberation from the health. Okay, okay. Anybody else?
Same thing, you know, it's freeing, but obviously the model tells us it's a system set up to help you be free.
Yes. I like period. Now I'm unmuted Zoom. Thank you. Wonderful. Thank you also for sharing those definitions. So now let me give you the real one. So we're all on the same page here. Boom. So mental health is actually our emotional, psychological, and social well-being. It affects how we think, how we feel, and how we act. It also determines how we handle stress, relate to others, and make choices. Like show of hands or however you want to show your reaction to folks who feel like, yeah, what we said related to that. That's that. Because yes, it is related. Period. Yes. Yes. Love it. Because y'all were right. How we handle ourselves during stressful moments, how we think, how we feel, how we act. Stigmas are a mark of disgrace associated with a particular circumstance, quality, or person, and it often comes from a lack of understanding or fear. Juliana, bow, nail on the head. Janelle, bow, nail on the head. Y'all got that right. And then the Liberation Health Model was actually created by Dr. Don Belkin Martinez and Anne Fleck Henderson, and they were really just creating a way to look at and understand a specific problem or a set of problems and see how 3 particular factors play a role into that problem. And the Liberation Health Model is really just a beautiful way to kind of just think about life, because we face life from our own personal experiences, from our cultural experiences that we identify with, and from society as a whole, which is from these institutional experiences that we have. So Liberation Health Model is just an intersectional approach to understanding any kind of problem. It doesn't have to be specific to health, and it doesn't have to be specific to a social justice cause. It can literally be like, I stubbed my toe. And you can look at all the factors that relate to that. It's very wonderful. So now that we have this kind of shared understanding of what we're going on and what we're going to talk about today, are y'all ready to move into a little bit of a fun way to ease into this topic? Because it's activity time. Cool. So we're going to play an activity. It's called Fact or Fiction. So get ready to indicate whether these things are fact or fiction. We're going to kind of move through things a bit quickly, as I really want to get us to the Liberation Health Model that we're going to be working with. So y'all get ready to unmute yourselves or remute yourselves, because I'm going to need to hear some responses on what we think, or whether we think these are fact or fiction. So here we go. Boom, fact or fiction. 90% of You Report survey respondents in Jamaica said Jamaicans don't take youth mental health seriously. Fact or fiction? What am I hearing?
Fact.
Fact. That is correct. Good job. That's correct. Next one. 31% of the same respondents said it's because of the Jamaican culture as to why people don't take youth mental health seriously. Fact or fiction? Let me hear that.
Fiction.
Fact.
100% correct.
Fact.
Now, do y'all think that these 2 questions, that these 2 facts, are they, do you think it's a personal factor, a cultural factor, or an institutional factor to why these things are true? Also, let me know if this question does not make sense.
When you say institutional factor, can you explain that a little bit? Because I mean, yes, I think it's cultural, but I think it's when you said an institution, I'm thinking that it's just embedded in the way that people have it's basically the same. That's what I'm thinking.
Yes, so cultural is is specific to cultures, and institutional would be, yes, like very embedded in the way that we are, and think as bigger for society. So these two questions, and I'll answer your question by going on to the next thing. So these two questions are support the cultural factors that support why these things are true. And it can be institutional as well, because as a society, right, Jamaica would be the society, and the society is very aligned with the culture. So that's why these two kind of both show cultural factors and institutional factors that support why they're true. But think of institutional as like the world, like, for lack of a better term, or for lack of a better example, white supremacy precedes all cultures, whether we know it or not. That's a whole nother dialogue we can get into on a different day. And whereas, yeah, so like white supremacy would be institutional, or classism would be institutional. And culture would be like our Caribbean culture, or the culture of our homes, or things that are shared amongst a specific group of people, but not shared amongst the entire population. Those are the differences between cultural and institutional. Boom. Next question. Boom. Everyone will have a mental health problem in their life. Fact or fiction?
Fiction.
Fact.
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 Heard one for fiction, heard some for fact. Let me tell you what it is. Everyone. And in fact, it is a fact. Everyone will have a mental health problem in their life. And before I get into that one, I want y'all to answer this one. Mental health is the same thing as mental health problems, is the same thing as mental health illness, is the same thing as mental health disorder. Are problems, illness, and disorders all the same?
Fiction.
Fiction, yeah.
Fiction.
I hear fiction. I see fiction. Correct. None of those things are the same thing. Your mental health problems are things that kind of come and go, then everybody's going to experience, right? That's like stubbing your toe. That'll be a problem. Everybody in the world may stub their toe. Everybody in the world may not stub their toe. But 9 times out of 10, they're going to experience that. Not every person is going to need to get a toe amputation from stubbing their toe, but some people do. An illness, a disorder, if you will, because that impacts their everyday life after that. An illness would be like your toe swells up real bad, and you gotta see about it every so often, but it's eventually going to go away. And those are kind of the differences between problems, illnesses, and disorders. So yeah, everyone is going to face a mental health problem in their life. Everyone is going to have bouts and moments of feeling super anxious about something, or they're going to have a time where they're kind of just like, oof, my mental health is a little out of whack, because that's how life works, and that's perfectly normal. On to the next question. Your income level can impact your mental health. Fact or fiction?
Fact.
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 I hear fact, because it is a fact. Don't we know it? Because they don't pay livable wages. How are we going to make money? How are we going to feel sustained and given in life? That seems like it would impact our mental health. Now, wouldn't it? Wonderful. And for y'all, do y'all think that the impact, or that this question, income level, can impact your mental health? What kind of factor do you think that is? A personal factor, cultural factor, institutional factor?
This could be a couple.
What you thinking? Tell me what you're thinking.
Well, I think for it affects your personal factor based on where you want to be in life.
Yes.
And then institutional, if you don't have enough of an income to survive just from day to day, that's also a factor.
Yes. I like the way you think. Thank you so much for sharing that, Ingrid. Because yeah.
I would like to also say cultural.
Yes, tell me more.
I would like to say cultural too, because I think that in specific cultures, there are expectations of income level, right? Like there are things that families expect you to do, certain occupations that your families expect you to participate in or be a part of. And so I think that income level and when it's connected to employment and occupation and career can also be a impact on mental health as well, culturally.
Yes, culturally. I love those. Thanks, y'all, for sharing. So your income level, this factor in particular is kind of seen as institutional, but I love these new perspectives on cultural and personal, because I wasn't even thinking about that originally, and the points that y'all made, valid as heck. So I originally thought about this as institutional for like classism, capitalism, for real, would be like the institution or that's the word I'm looking for, the institution that upholds this scenario that your income level impacts your mental health, because we run in a capitalistic society, and if you don't make money, you can't do nothing, and poverty is a mental health crisis. But that is also another topic for another day. So let's continue on with the game. Therapy is the same as talking to my pastor or my religious leader. Kind of same person. Fact or fiction? Fiction, period. Because my pastor may not have the license to be my therapist. So yeah, totally fiction. Therapy is not the same as talking to your pastor. Definitely seek out mental health counselors to have a therapy session. And do folks want to say whether this is cultural, institutional, personal? What are we hearing?
Cultural?
Yes, ding, 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 ding. It is cultural, because obviously, how many people, I think we all come from similar cultures in this room, but how many folks have heard this kind of notion, like just go talk to your pastor, or I'm going to talk to my whomever to kind of figure things out, and people take that as therapy? Who's kind of heard this sentiment before? Show of hands. Yes, no's. Yes, 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 yes. We all been there. I went to Catholic school, so you already know. Cool. Look at that, y'all. We made it through. So in this time, we can take a quick 5-minute break. I want folks to be able to relax themselves and get ready to get into a wonderful time. We're going to be definitely interacting with each other in this next part. So get your space set up for what that needs to be. Take care of yourself in these next 5 minutes and come back with a pen or pencil and a piece of paper so we can work on the liberation model together. So I would like to see folks back at 6:45. 38 plus 5 is 33. 6:43. So take your time, turn your cameras off, do whatever you need to do, and I will see y'all again in 5 minutes. 5 minutes and counting. We love them. Come on, moderator. Nice.
Good job, guys. How you feeling?
Glad I took that sip of tea. Let me, my brightness turned down. We're gonna get into some fun things, y'all. Hope folks are making their way. There goes the timer. Ooh, pardon me. Awesome. Welcome back, Augustina. If you're back, can you just indicate in the chat, just so I know not all of us have our cameras on, which is perfectly fine. So just indicate in the chat if you're back. And then Janelle, if you could just do some welcomes for the people who are indicating in the chat that they're back, that'll be helpful, because I still can't see the chat.
Sure.
Nice. Welcome back, Son. Welcome back, Augustina. Welcome back, Marquette. Boo, boo, boo. I'm over here playing like.
Welcome back, Alex. Welcome, Auntie Bridget.
Nice. Welcome back, Auntie Bridget. Oh, welcome, Auntie Bridget. Thank you.
Barbados is in the house.
We look at that. We reached international waters, everybody. We are now international. I love to see it. Beautiful. Awesome. Okay, cool. Folks, enough folks are back for me to let's get down to business. So I hope everyone's ready. You got a pencil or a pen nearby, some paper, because we're about to talk about the Liberation Health Triangle. Now, pardon me for this portion of the presentation, as I will be looking away from the camera to annotate the screen as y'all share, as we fill in this model together, actually. So everyone should have gotten this in their worksheet in their email. So if you want to fill it out digitally, that's fine too. But it's going to be better if you just kind of draw a triangle and some boxes. Trust me, because I feel like we're getting into some fruitful things. So, folks, let's start. So this is a Liberation Health Triangle. As stated in that worksheet, we are going to work on this model through all 3 webinar sessions. So in this first session, we're going to fill out the personal factors, the cultural factors, and institutional factors that relate to stigma. Let me use this other pointer. We're going to fill in personal factors, cultural factors, and institutional factors as it relates to our problem, which is stigmas about mental health in a Caribbean context. And then in our next 2 sessions, we're going to, our last session, we're going to do action steps. And in our second session, we're going to talk about the history or the rescue of historical change. And that is just really talking about like the support systems that are already in place or that already exist in relation to our problem statement. So let's start with identifying the problem. What's our problem today, y'all? Stigmas.
Social media.
Stigmas.
So close. Stigmas. Our problem statement today, or we're talking about stigmas about mental health in a Caribbean context. So why don't everyone go ahead and write stigmas inside the middle of your triangle. If you didn't already, you should draw this model. So take your time and do that while I make a little text box. Stigmas. Specifically about stigmas, as we learned earlier, stigmas can come from a lack of
knowledge.
Yes, a lack of knowledge or understanding. Come on, Redemption, Ingrid, I see you. Nice. So our problem area today around stigmas about mental health and the lack of understanding about mental health in a Caribbean context. You see how things are connecting, right? Yeah. Lack of understanding. Ooh. Today is a day where we test my spelling abilities. And that's okay. Period. So that is our, not you going, okay. And that's our problem statement. So now let's hear from folks about the personal factors that uphold these stigmas about mental health in a Caribbean context. So these can be things like, let's get a couple of examples. So some examples of personal factors are some personal examples are, oh, y'all, you know what? Y'all actually listed them in your registration form answers. Did y'all know that y'all already have the answers? Did you know this? Because you're experts, BT dubs. Let me pull up your responses so I can share them with you all in, like, you know, a safe way, an ethical way. Nice. What happens when your screen is like this? Yeah. Some examples of stigmas that y'all gave were
Bobby, I have a question. This is Son speaking.
Yes, what's your question?
So in the personal factors box, this is where we're writing the personal factors that impact the problem.
Correct.
Right? Okay,
Correct.
thank you.
No problem. Period. If folks already know some personal factors, feel free to share them with the rest of us. That's perfectly fine. You can unmute yourself and share them, no problem.
What about income and environment?
Income and environment are great examples of factors. I would put those under institutional factors, as income is related to capitalism and environment is related to, actually, environment may be cultural, but it could also be personal. Can you elaborate a bit on environment, Marquette?
Like your surroundings, where you grew up, the neighborhood, like maybe
Yes,
where
that
you're
would,
from negatively affect how people may see like where you're from.
yes, that will go under personal factors for real. Thank you, Marquette. Yes. On critical brains. So yeah, folks, if you want to write that under personal factors, we can write environment, like your upbringing or your neighborhood. Environ. Sure. Slash neighborhood. Wow. The words that were difficult for me were these ones. And that's okay. So we have our environment, our neighborhoods. What are some other things that kind of make you think, oh, people, this are why people keep saying these stigmas? For example, one of the stigmas were, oh, yep, go ahead.
How would you classify, like, say, for instance, just the things that your grandmother would say, these are things that you hear repetitively that are not based on anything more than that's what they knew and that's how they treat certain situations.
Those will definitely go under cultural factors.
Okay.
Actually, cultural factors.
Okay.
Like if my grandma, what's an example of something that your grandma says? Or your grandma in a general sense, maybe not your specific grandma.
How about mental health? I can't even think of anything. I definitely draw a blank on it, but
It's stuff like
I'll give you something to cry about. Stop crying.
Yes,
right. I'll give you something to cry about.
We don't talk about. I'll give you something to cry about.
Talk about our problems. Yes.
We'll talk about our problems. Yeah, those are definitely cultural factors. I'm gonna put them under here. Why are you crying? Very Ebonics.
Be thankful for what you have.
You don't have nothing better to do.
Right? Come on now. Oh, y'all quick with the answers. Y'all got all the responses. Give it to me. Yeah. Say that one again unto you, Chris.
Damn, you don't have anything better to do.
Mm-hmm.
Man,
what else we got? Marquette, I see your hand is raised. What you got?
Sorry, I was just thinking about my answer and like if it ties into mental health, but like what about like things that people wear? Like, you know how sometimes people they assume like certain things about clothing.
Like how you express yourself.
Yeah.
And then I would go on to say cultural would be like church. Automatically, anything that ails you, you need to go to church.
Okay. Your spirit is uneasy.
Yeah. Someone needs to lay hands on you. Yeah.
Right. In that same essence. So I think as those of us who are from the Caribbean, I don't know, it's like almost everybody on this call. So yeah. There were actually studies done across the Caribbean and Latin America that showed that there was a direct correlation between Caribbeans and folks from Latin America on how they think about their mental health. And the first thing that they thought about it was a disturbance in their spirit, that it wasn't really seen as like, oh, my brain is just responding to this thing a little different, but that was a spiritual connection. And that if there's a disturbance in your spirit, then it would make sense to then go to a spiritual leader or a pastor or church to heal this thing. So this cultural factor around church, Juliana, yes, it's actually very deeply rooted in our culture that we associate mental health with church or with seeking advice and elders from or advice and help from elders in the church, because we understood it as a connection to our spirit, which I still feel like it's a connection to our spirit, you know, but that's also a personal thing. It's very much a part of me, and doesn't mean I gotta go to church to fix it though, but it's still a spiritual connection nonetheless.
I've actually heard growing up, oftentimes the people who were looked on as crazy, you know, they were roaming about, usually, not able to have full conversations. And one of the things that was always said is that, oh, that person used to be really smart, but he studied so much that he went crazy. I don't know who's ever, but that was like this sentiment that these smart people who get too in depth lose their minds. Yeah.
Thank you for that, Janelle. Because I also feel I am 100% sure there's data that also backs up this. There actually is, now that I am 100% sure because I know it. That where this thought, when you see people gaining more and more knowledge about or around mental health, specifically within the Caribbean, there was a study done in Grenada, actually in 2012, about the folks who were in higher, like whether they had higher positions as a result of their education, or if they, let me be aware of time, because it is 6:56 and I'm not trying to keep you here that long. And I want us to write some other things down in institutional factors. Just know that there is science and research out there that backs a lot of the things that we're talking about today. And a lot of you all have lived experiential knowledge, and there is tons of research out there supporting all the things that we've experienced, that we know, and that we hold true to us. So let's get back to this model in these 3 minutes that we have left. Someone give me an example of an institutional factor. Take your time while I type this out.
I would say access, or like the lack of, I think especially in putting it in the Caribbean context, since mental health or just seeking outside help is so taboo that we're not even aware that we have these resources available to us. So I would say access and just overall knowledge that we're able to seek outside help.
Yes.
And insurance, but some people don't have insurance or it's too expensive.
Period.
That's institutional.
That was going to be my point. Having money and access to services is vital, because whether it is if certain things are not treated, it can escalate from being just a mental problem to being a mental illness, to being a disability. Because if with anything not treated, like you said before, Yasmin, can become debilitating.
Entirely. That's why they say when you got a little scratch in your throat, don't ignore it. Go to a doctor. Same thing with your mental health. You feel a little uneasy, don't ignore it. Talk to a mental health professional. Wonderful. So I see we wrote down a few things. We have a lot of knowledge exists within all of us. I want to name that. And I want to let y'all know that we'll continue to fill this out in our next couple of sessions. So in our next session, we'll do a quick recap, and then we'll fill out some more things in this Liberation Health Triangle. I'm going to take a screenshot. I don't know if that worked. I would advise folks to take a quick screenshot of the screen, because all of these words are going to go away. So also with handy dandy technology, I can just use my phone. See, beautiful. So in our 1 minute to spare that we have left, I just want to make sure folks are kind of understanding where we're going through with this process. The kind of folks understand, like, yeah, mental health in a Caribbean context feels very, however it feels, I don't know. But like, I kind of understand that there's a problem, and it's our lack of understanding of mental health and what it really means to us. And the personal factors that uphold that are kind of the messaging that we hear when we're younger from family members, the environment that we're in. Another cultural factor that upholds this lack of understanding is only seeking out one option to heal ourselves during mental health around church. Or institutional factors that also uphold this lack of understanding is the lack of access, capitalism, the inability to seek the knowledge that we need, or lack of access to the knowledge we're seeking, or not having enough money. And these are all the factors, or some of the factors, I should say, that uphold this lack of understanding of stigma, or lack of understanding, of mental health, specifically in the Caribbean context. Does that feel right for folks? Does that feel good to folks? How's that feel in your body? Give me a thumbs up for like, it feels good. Thumbs down for like, girl, I don't know what you talk about. And in the middle for like, I'll get there in 2 weeks. Beautiful. Awesome. Love it. Thanks, folks. Let me go on to the next slide. Actually, let me clear this. Clear. Oh, period. Period. Ooh. Because it's this. Awesome, possum. 701, look at us go. So I just want to wrap up with everyone and say, one, thank you so much for joining us and bearing with me in my first webinar talking about mental health in the Caribbean context. We're going to get back with each other in 2 weeks, so don't worry, this isn't goodbye. This is definitely a see you later. And we're going to talk some more about mental health in the Caribbean context. Going to discuss some more about these factors that we started discussing, because y'all got a lot of things to say and I really want to hear them. And we are going to then talk about action steps and learn a bit more history on the people that are doing the work to help us have more understanding of mental health in a Caribbean context. So you could follow me on social media if you would like. Feel free to send me an email to get in contact with me if you have any more questions or concerns after this webinar. And I am Yasmin Bailey, and I was really glad to be here. Thanks, y'all.
Thanks so much, Yasmin. And before everyone goes, there was a blogspot page set up specifically for this webinar. So if you want to keep the conversation going there, we can just interact with each other. That's another space we can keep the conversation going. We will also send out a recording of this first session to everyone who's here. For some people who got in on the call a little late, we will send you a copy of the recording. And I really appreciate everyone's participation. It was a beautiful gathering, conversation. So I thank you all for coming out, and we look forward to seeing you guys in 2 weeks on the 30th.
I'll get on the 30th.
And for those of you who don't know about the association, you can follow us on Facebook and on Instagram. Janelle, can you give them the information?
That's right. So on Instagram, we are SVG of Mass. Same thing on Facebook. And I'll also include that in the follow-up. So for anyone that wants to stay in contact with us, the organization is here. It's a nonprofit that primarily serves the Vincentian community here in Massachusetts, but we are open to everyone. So anyone who resides in Massachusetts is able to join and partake in our offerings. And of course, we will continue to have programs such as this that's open to the general public. And of course, as a nonprofit, we also have donation options. Have to mention that. So that would be a link that we could provide to you as well, so we can continue to do these type of programming. So again, thank you guys.